never do it.
What's going on, everybody? I am super excited today because after our last video where we went to H-mart and picked up some delicious American Wagyu beef, I decided to make another trip and see what other kinds of American Wagyu beef they had in stock. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to whip up a sample of some delicious meat with the family and show you guys my sous vide setup. Aside from a sous vide cooker, there's not a lot of things that you absolutely need in order to whip up a killer, tasty, delicious meal sous vide. But that being said, there are a couple of tools of the trade that make it a lot easier to produce mouth-watering results. And so I'm gonna let you guys in on my secret so you can bring the magic of sous vide to your family. All right, let's start with the meat. So first up, we've got some American Wagyu Kobe tri-tip steak. Now, tri-tip is a cut that you'll most often find on the West Coast. Being a California boy, tri-tip was one of my all-time favorite cuts of steak. Since I moved to Austin, I haven't been able to find it too many places, and so I was thrilled to see a tri-tip steak of this quality being offered at h-mart. Look at how gorgeous the marbling is on that. Now, if you've had tri-tip before, this isn't the standard tri-tip cut. These are much smaller in both overall size and thickness. Next up, we've got some American Wagyu prime ribeye. These ribeyes look absolutely beautiful. There's some great marbling in here. They're not as thick of a cut as I would normally get, but I've got a trick up my sleeve that'll help me get a really great sear on these steaks without overcooking the inside. All right, so first things first, we're gonna season up our steaks. You know what? I'm a purist, and so when I season steaks, I don't really see a reason to deviate from the tried and true classic of salt and pepper. The trick is you wanna use some really high quality salt. I prefer kosher salt myself. Some Himalayan sea salt is also great if you're on keto. Some extra minerals in there. And very important, freshly ground pepper. Next, we're gonna top these off with some finely minced garlic and a couple of sticks of butter. That butter and garlic will melt into the steak and give it some absolutely amazing flavor as the sous vide is gradually heating the meat up to temperature. Once we've got the steak seasoned, we'll go ahead and put them in a vacuum sealed bag and immerse them into our water bath. And this is where we come to my first tool of the trade. This is a clear acrylic tub that you can fill with water, and it's specifically made for sous vide. You can see that the hole cut in the lid here is specifically designed for a sous vide immersion cooker. The reason that this is important is that for long sous vide cooks, the water evaporates, and this lid helps to minimize water loss due to evaporation. Inside the tub, we have a metal rack. This metal rack serves a really important purpose. It keeps the meat underwater, but it also separates them so that they aren't touching each other. This helps to ensure that the water circulates evenly around all sides of the steaks. That way you get a more consistent cook. Now, it's totally possible to just use a stock pot or a Dutch oven for this. I've used that method before, and it worked out just fine. But since sous vide is my favorite way of cooking, I decided to step up my game a little bit. All right, so the steaks are done with their sous vide bath. Taking them out of the bags, I've patted them dry, and they smell incredible. But because we don't have the sear on there quite yet, they don't look as incredible as they smell. Now it's the moment we've been waiting for. It's time to put a sear on these bad boys. Now for this job, I'd like to introduce you to my new toy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the propane tank with the Searzall attachment and we're gonna run it slowly and gradually over the top of the meat. That metal mesh will make sure that the heat gets evenly distributed and we'll make sure that we get a perfect crust on the top of that meat. After we're done with that, all that's left to do is to let the steaks rest for a little while, and then it's time to slice them and enjoy. All right, I just cut into the steaks and they are a perfect medium rare. There's an amazing crust on the outside from those flames, and the meat is just glistening with juiciness. So first things first, let's take a bite of the American Wagyu ribeye. Wow, the steak is amazing. You can really taste the subtle sweetness and richness of that Kerrygold butter that's just penetrated through the meat. The fat is perfectly rendered and crispy on the outside, but because the inside temperature of the steak is literally a perfect medium rare, it's got an amazing mouthfeel. It doesn't disintegrate in your mouth. Let's try the tri-tip. This tri-tip looks incredible. Tri-tip is amazing. As I mentioned before, it's one of my favorite cuts of steak. It's got a little bit more springiness to the meat than the ribeye, but it's still got great flavor thanks to really good marbling. And the fat on the outside, just like with the ribeye, is nicely rendered thanks to the Searzall. So if you're looking to take your sous vide game up to the next level, it just takes a couple of pieces of essential gear. Give it a try, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Okay, it's Lucas's turn to taste test. You ready, buddy?
Cuckoo crazy! Cuckoo crazy!